Oh, how very human of you to feel such grief, to wonder at your own worth, to perform all sorts of personality gymnastics in a room full of people in masks, to delay seeking what you desire for fear of what other scared people might think. We wanted to find a way to inject our art into the culture through something other than holding space on a Zoom call. One of the ways that felt really scary was to make physical products. It's not something either of us had ever done before. We decided to collaborate and make shirts. We gathered all of our existing art that felt fitting and started making mock-ups in Canva. We learned a lot about e-commerce, shipping labels, and t-shirt thickness. We had our friends and admirers vote on the designs, and we got very friendly with the folks at Austin Print Co. We got to work on the website and we were blown away by the response, watching the orders roll in for the art we'd created. We had so much fun packing the orders, and just within the last few hours today, our first local customers received their shirts.
I just smashed it.
But more important than how we did it was why.
Doing it.
We are.
It's happening. So why did we start this?
For me, it starts when one time you came over, and this was the first time I remember you saying this. You came over, and I instantly go, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, my house is so messy, I haven't cleaned up." And you were like, "How human of you that you live in your house and that
Yeah.
you use all your things." And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess you're like," and I was like, "Ooh, I like this. I want
Yeah.
to keep this forever and ever." How human of you. Yes.
A couple people with a big painting I made and some other bits of art, or after they'd watched me perform some poetry, had a line that stood out to them and have people come and say, "Oh, you should put that on a shirt, or you should make merch with that." But before going into designs or anything, what is the message we're trying to share? Like, why do this? For me, it was never really just about making shirts, but what is the message that we're trying to inject into the culture? And for me, that came down to two things. On the one hand, why we called it How Human of You, of that permission slip to be flawed and imperfect or emotional, or to be in whatever messy human muck that you're in. And as well, not to use that as an excuse not to do the damn thing. Like, how human of you, you have feelings and emotions and flaws, and also the time has come and you are needed. Let's get up to big things, let's create something, let's love each other. And that was the twofold message for me that this was really about. And the idea of like potency came up for me a lot in this process of, could I, if I got the words just right, if we got the visuals just right, could we inject enough meaning into this single pixel that it carries the same amount of someone like sitting in a call with me or having a conversation with me about these things. So that for me was what this was really about, is like, how potent can we get the message, and then how do we make something cool that people actually want to wear? The physical things that we carry with us all day have such an impact on our behavior, like having the water bottle with me, I will drink more water. And being able to have something in our day, if I am wearing a shirt that says, not to be dramatic, but we are all gonna die, I might participate a little bit differently with my day. And that's exciting to me, to create an artifact like that, that someone is wearing, and also that other people will see. It's not a private thing to quite literally say this with your chest and have it written across your shirt. What do you feel the story or the message was for you?
I think from day one, Zoe and I always were really interested in storytelling, and the way that stories that we tell ourselves really shapes how we see the world. And so originally we had thought about creating products that tell a good story, or that shape the way that you tell the story to yourself. How do we tell better stories? And how do we tell that with our individual art, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, how can we combine that and share that experience together?
And I like that piece of, what's the story we're telling ourselves and others? And I think that's really where the brand name of How Human of You comes in. Of, so often our story is, oh, why'd I fuck that up? Or I'm such an idiot, or I'm behind, or my house is too messy, or I'm not worthy, I don't have it together because look, if people really saw this. Mm-hmm. And How Human of You is kind of meant to be a response to all of those thoughts. Like, oh, your house is messy, the house that you live in all day while you work a full-time job? Like, oh, how human of you. oh, you feel a little disconnected from your friends right now, but you have 2 children who are under 2 years old. Well, that makes sense, like how completely normal and human. And having that message is something that I really needed at one point. And we always talk about we're making art, we're making services, we're providing things for younger versions of ourselves. And there was a version of me that felt like I needed to really conceal what the reality of my life was, because it felt like it wasn't good enough, or it wasn't what other people actually had going on behind closed doors. And actually starting to expose those things that I was really nervous about people knowing was when I started finally learning that everyone else feels the same way. And that feeling that I am on the outside of something that everybody else is on the inside of, you know, it's so ironic that most people feel that way. And I think that having this sort of language, these sort of stories, is something that unites us, because it is inherently vulnerable even to say that, to be okay with the fact that your house is messy, because it probably means mine is too. And like those little moments where we have that relief of like, I'm okay, they're not judging me. But to marry that to this idea of like, all right, so because we're good and we don't need to be neurotically focused on these problems, let's get back to bringing our gifts to the world. What are you doing that shows you what it is to be alive? What do you care about? That is the piece that I'm trying to bring the energy of that both and to all of the shirts. So it wasn't entirely smooth sailing. We didn't have the easiest time.
Yeah. We started it really quickly, and we were also not in the same city and had to figure out logistics and everything from this set 50-day deadline that we decided to commit to. I really like to take my time with things. I'm a very turtle, slow starter. And this one was just like, let's fucking go.
Do you think some parts of that were good for you?
Yes. It was good for me, but it was a friction point for me. Coming from this very uncomfortable feeling of very unprepared. I felt like we didn't have a plan. I felt like maybe we got in over our heads. I was just thinking of all of the things that could go wrong. And my normal reaction is to kind of shut down when that happens. And there was no breathing room for me to even shut down. I just had to keep going. And so that felt very uncomfortable in my body, you know? At the beginning, I told you a lot about my fears and about these insecurities of the quickness, that I take my time and all this stuff. And then I felt a lot of shame. I felt so much shame like voicing it, because I'm like, no, I should be able to handle this. Or like once I told you what I'm nervous about, then I was like, oh no.
She's gonna know.
She's gonna know.
She's gonna know I'm not perfect. And the irony of that was not lost on us. The number of times that we would be in these moments and it'd be frictiony, and she's like, but I'm not perfect, I'm not fast enough. I'm like, so that sounds like, and she's like, how human of me.
Every time. I'm like, the irony of starting a brand called How Human of You, and then
Still being human?
and being so human. Oh man.
Can you tell me a little bit more about social media specifically?
Oh God. Let's not. Just even speaking right now about, I want to be like, no. Oh my gosh, why did I say yes to this? The story I tell myself is that I'm more of a behind the scenes kind of gal. And this was asking me to be really in front. It sucked. It still sucked the next time. And yeah, it kept sucking. This whole process, since it had to be done very quick in the moment, it didn't allow for me to plan, and I love to plan. And I'm like, why don't we plan the whole 50-day launch and just like do it 5-10 posts in advance?
And this was where we started having some friction, because to me, I know that in my world, planning is often avoidance. And I don't necessarily think that's true for everyone. And there was moments where I'm like, can you just fucking film something? You don't need to plan it. Just talk about what you did today. And having different experiences there. And also, we've put in a different number of reps on these things. That was probably one of the more difficult sides for me to navigate, was knowing I have chosen to put myself in the social media space before, and I've gone through the same feelings when I was starting out. No issue with this. I could totally get it. I felt the same way. But finding the balance on that of having a business partner and someone that you're collaborating on a project with, and also having a lot of stuff happening in my life and feeling like there was moments where I was like, hey, I need you to execute and do the thing, and I might not have the bandwidth to be the emotional support that I hope you get through this process. And so finding that balance was also something that was challenging for me in moments of wanting to be supportive, but also admittedly having moments of impatience or frustration and not wanting that to become a source of bitterness. We were super open about those things, which was very helpful. That as these things were all coming up, we named it really quickly of like, hey, I'm noticing I don't want to play project manager. She's like, hey, I'm noticing I feel rushed. And so continuing to have those conversations, and frankly, a number of them in tears for both of us, of, hey, do we want to do this? Is this still fun? We haven't had a lot of conflict in our friendship. And so it was also some of our first moments of really navigating rupture and repair between the two of us. On the other side of the coin, one of the things that Vale had more experience with than me was this form of creative collaboration. She has built websites and done other projects where she is essentially working towards someone else's vision. And that's not something I've ever done creatively. I have always been dancing with my own muse and I'm making what feels good for me. And that's a very tight relationship for me. When something feels off or funky, I'm quick to pivot or toss it out. And in working with another person, us maybe both spending hours on something and then not vibing with what the other person creates. And so that was also a new piece for me of, oh, this is a joint project. I want us to both feel excited about it. And what about when it's not landing? I really want to put certain words or phrases that I've written that she maybe doesn't vibe with in the moment, or vice versa. She spends hours on a drawing and I'm like, I don't know, it's not really the one for me. Looking at how much can we trust each other in that process to know that this is about choosing to create something that is our joint taste, and that's going to mean that plenty of good things that we've both separately created are going to be set aside because they're not in each other's taste.
I usually tend to design to create others' visions. So one of the questions that Zoe would ask me is like, oh, what's the story I want to tell? And I was like stumped. Usually I hear a story and then create from it, right? And this one was like, well, what's
your story?
What's the one I want to tell?
Which I think was also a cool part of this process for me with you, was to also see you claim your vision in something. And we both have big personalities, and I have a tendency towards leadership in group settings. And so working with that and being like, okay, do I need to lean back more? And then if there's resistance around social media, if I lean back, does it happen? So that was also kind of a friction point of how do we each want to do accountability?
Yeah.
And we both have moments of catching each other. When there's times where I was like overwhelmed with something and she could take the reins, or being able to remind each other, it's just shirts. It's just shirts.
It's just shirts.
It's just shirts. You know,
This is fun. This is meant to be fun. An
Yeah.
fun art project. I think we were in our head for a long time of being like, oh, I don't know, these are good, but not good. They suck. Oh, I don't know.
the usual creative crew.
Yeah.
Like, we're geniuses. We're an idiot.
Yeah,
No
like,
one's going to want this.
Seriously, this sucks. And then it was like, but this is so good. And then we would feed off of each other, but then getting the feedback of others, that
helped.
helped so much. And it felt really good to be so supported.
We love how the shirts turned out, and there was one final step because it was never just about the shirts. It was about telling better stories and designing a life that helps us remember. 2 years ago, I tied a red string onto my wrist and made a promise to myself to tell the deeper truth. And we're inviting our customers to do the same. The hang tag of each of our shirts is tied on with a red string, and there's a QR code that invites our customers to share their commitment and view others. The string is a reminder of the commitment to daily action. Our hope is that these shirts are more than something that hangs in your closet. It's something that helps you remember, create, and connect.